Lie detector tests can be a terrific tool to get a criminal case dismissed. However, many courts don't allow these type of test results to be used as evidence. So today I want to share with you the untold story of lie detector tests and how to use them to get a criminal case dismissed. Hollywood tries to make it look like a lie detector test is a rock-solid proof of establishing whether someone lied or told the truth. But in reality, it's much more complicated than that. So I'm going to walk you through one of my own cases where one of our clients' best option to get their criminal case dismissed was to pass a polygraph examination in exchange for a dismissal. My client was charged with aggravated sexual assault. The alleged victim had provided several interviews claiming they had been raped. However, the story began to change, and the actual story did not really add up. In fact, there was no other evidence to support the claim other than the alleged victim's word. As a result of this, we approached the prosecutor and we began to point out the weaknesses of the case. And we explained to them very clearly, there were so many problems here, there was no way they were going to be able to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt in a trial. So we suggested they dismiss the case. Unfortunately, the prosecutor refused to dismiss the charge. So I came to the prosecutor and I said, look, do you really want to charge an innocent man for a case you have very little evidence on and ruin his name? How about we pass a polygraph test and we kick this case to the curb? I could see the prosecutor was thinking about it, so I made this suggestion. What if we both pick out a polygrapher we both know is very experienced, very well trained, that we both trust? You submit some questions, I'll submit our questions, and based upon those results, we will own that data, but if my client does pass that actual test, you will agree to dismiss the charge. The prosecutor agreed, and on its face it would have looked like a risky move for us, but I was never planning to turn over that specific polygraph examination unless my client passed the test. We paid for the test, we set up the test, we just needed to make sure that the case would be dismissed when he passed it. It's important to realize though that lie detectors don't actually detect lies. It's not as simple as a green light going off saying truth or a red light going off saying lie. A polygraph is a machine that monitors physiological responses, like your blood pressure, your heart rate, your skin conductivity, your respiration. All of these signals are being recorded while the polygrapher is asking you questions. And the changes are being read by the polygrapher, potentially suggesting truthfulness or deception. So it's really more like reading stock market prices. When you see prices move up or they begin to move down, it makes you stop and say, hey, what happened? Why did that change? What caused it to go up or to go down? What is that a sign of? A polygrapher is watching changes in these signals, interpreting them, and determining whether there is truthfulness or deception. So that's why in this case, it was important that both sides agreed on a polygrapher that they knew was well trained and experienced that could not only read these changes in signals, but interpret them fairly for a conclusion. But another risk is what questions would be asked by the polygrapher and how would those questions be asked to our client. Before a lie detector test is administered, the polygrapher will generally explain to the client exactly how the process is going to go and what types of questions would be asked. Some questions have nothing to do with anything. Some questions are what they call control questions. And finally, there's the meat and potatoes questions that have to do specifically with the allegations in the criminal case. Irrelevant questions are simply baseline measurements. They aren't truths, they aren't lies. They're basically helping the polygrapher understand what this person's normal is when they are in conversation answering questions. Then the control questions gauge the individual's general level of truthfulness. Essentially, the polygrapher is asking questions in order to see what lines move up and down when someone is telling the truth. Then the relevant questions about the case are asked by the polygrapher. The polygrapher then compares the answers to those questions to the irrelevant questions and the control questions to help determine whether it's a deception or the truth. And like a great stockbroker, an examiner's experience and training is critical to interpreting the data to fairly determine whether or not there was truthfulness or a lie. So the prosecution comes up with their list of questions they want submitted, we come up with our list, and we hand everything over to the polygrapher. Now, most of the time, you aren't guaranteed a win just because someone passes a polygraph, because polygraphs are not foolproof. Depending upon stress, anxiety, medical conditions, medications being taken, someone can answer a question truthfully, but it may still show on the test that they may have lied. This is known as a false positive. Or, on the other side, the test might not catch what you're lying about at all. this is called a false negative. After all, it's real easy to find YouTube videos out there supposedly teaching you how to beat a polygraph examination. Now, we kind of went all in with our client on this one, and we decided to have our client take the polygraph examination, and we finally got the results back. Our client passed with flying colors, and the prosecutor followed up with their word, and they dismissed the charge. The courts might not trust lie detector tests, but Congress sure does love breath detection devices. In fact, Congress just passed a law requiring everyone buying a vehicle starting in 2026 to have mandatory breath test devices or alcohol detection devices on their vehicle. If you don't believe me, check out this video for all the details.